Mustangs. And here comes Doug Roberts, number 77. A lot of big college scouts looking him over. 62 for the Mustangs is Darren Canerva. 45, Dave Kalinsky. Left corner, Matt Kopp. He's also the second-string quarterback. And a speedster, Terry Martin, another defensive back. And 87, Randy Bowler. He's one of the tri-captains for the Mustangs, and he's introduced last. Portage Central will start on defense, it appears, and Niles on offense. And there you got a good look at the defensive front. The Mustangs will play a 5-2 in their basic defense, and we may see them change around just a little bit depending on down and distance and position on the field. Should be a good ball game. Sun just setting now in the west. Kind of a cool evening. I'd imagine temperatures in the low 60s right now, and they'll get cooler as the night goes on. Tonight's game can be seen Sunday evening at 7 and Wednesday night at 8 o'clock on Cable Access Channel 31 here in Portage. Invite you to tune in for that. As we get the coin toss now, the tri-captains for both clubs out on the field. Mustangs have their backs to the south goalpost. Get a good look at the official. Captains exchanging good luck down on the field, and we should have the coin toss here momentarily.
Joe, normally Coach Knight will send out one team to be introduced one week and one team to be introduced the second week. So if this is in fact the official coin toss, we're not sure yet who's going to carry the ball the first time.
That's right. Looks like Niles has won the toss, although I don't know what the official is doing there. Well, Portage Central will receive first, and Niles will kick off and defend the north goal. So we were wrong. That's okay.
Joe, I missed the first part of the coin toss, and if they pointed to Niles, as you mentioned, maybe they deferred it to the second half, and I'm not sure if you can do that in high school.
I think you can. I think you can elect to kick off and play defense first. A lot of coaches like to do that, especially on the road. Their kids a little bit nervous, a little bit jittery, and they feel if they can get out and make a couple good hits, that'll get their kids in the flow of the game.
Boy, you're exactly right on that.
So Portage Central will receive, and they will start on offense, and once they get the ball, they'll be led by sophomore quarterback Dan Knight. Very unusual for the Mustangs to have a sophomore at quarterback. But Knight did a good job a week ago, and they expect him to continue to make progress. And an outstanding leader, a kid, John, that's been around football all his life.
Boy, he sure has. I can remember back when he was about 7 or 8 years old, picking up the balls on the sidelines and everything right here at McCamley Field for, of course, his father, Coach Knight.
Matt Kopp and Steve Pewitt back deep to receive the kick for the Mustangs. Mustangs will be defending the south goal. Not much of a wind so far this evening, so that won't be a factor as we get underway. The kicker for Niles tonight is James Becker at 5'10", 155 pounds, and he is a sophomore.
One of the things you'll see, Joe, in the two people that are deep for Portage Central is Steve Pewitt, who may be one of the fastest people on the team, maybe one of the fastest people that Coach Knight's had in quite a while, and Matt Kopp, who is not only quick in his own right, but has the real sure hands and is just an excellent ball player all around. He'll be playing in the defensive backfield when he's not playing quarterback when Danny Knight's on the field.
Correction on the kicker. It is Michael Mangus, number 40, Michael Magnus, number 40, who will be kicking off for the Niles Vikings. And we're underway in the home season. A little bit of a squib kick, and it's picked up down there by the Mustangs. And they'll start with good field position. Stacy Young picking up the ball. Tackle made down there by Brett Kasarik of the Vikings. So the Mustangs will start things off first and 10 about their own 42-yard line.
One of the wisest things I think you see on a kickoff, on a squib kick like that, Joe, is that those front linemen get right out of the way and let the people that have the good hands in the second row pick up the ball and carry it.
Dan Knight on first and 10 under center for the Mustangs. And here comes that veer offense we talked about. Marty Williams gets the handoff, and he slides forward across the 45 near the 46 before he's brought down.
Jeff Lee made the tackle on that one, Joe. That was just a basic veer, and I think that's what Bob Knight likes to start off with, test the defense a little bit and just see what they're going to do.
Marty Williams, perhaps the biggest running back Portage Central has ever fielded at 6'3", 215 pounds. He is a senior. Mustangs going with a double tight end formation with one wide receiver up at the top of the screen, just barely in your picture. And here they come again. This time Knight keeps the ball, but he falls down and pick up a couple.
Joe, we talked a little bit at the top of the program about Niles running a 7 diamond and some 6'3", and of course they come out with exactly the opposite, something they did just a little bit of last week. They're running the 53. In other words, 5 down linemen and 3 linebackers, and then the 3 defensive backs.
Yeah, they'll no doubt try and change things up and confuse that offensive line for the Mustangs. 3rd and 6, and the pass is complete to Polderman across the 40-yard line and deep into Niles territory. So Dan Knight starts things off well, completing his first pass. The Mustangs got themselves a first down.
Good-looking play, Joe. At Danny Knight, of course, faking the, what we called it, just the basic veer the other way, turning right around and throwing the pop pass to Devin Polderman. We want to watch Devin a little bit tonight. He does have somewhat of a sore shoulder. We want to keep an eye on that.
There you get a good look at the right side of that offensive line. Polderman, Roberts, as the ball goes inside the other way to Pewitt, and he picks up 4 more yards and is down across the 35-yard line. Mike Bell
also flag
in.
Down, Joe.
Holding, it appears to be the call against the Niles Vikings. If that's the case, it'll be an automatic first down for Portage Central and 5 yards on the penalty. We'll watch the officials mark it off. It's going to be longer than 5 yards. 10 yards is the penalty. 1st and 10 for the Mustangs on the 20-yard line.
The personal foul of some kind, Joe. It right at the pile-up, and
might have been a late hit.
Yes, it may have been.
1st and 10 for the Mustangs. They send Stacy Young wide to the left side. Again, Dan Knight under center. And they give it inside this time to Williams, fighting forward for yardage, and he'll pick up a couple before he's slapped down by the interior of that Niles line. Pat Mead in on the stop for the Vikings. 2nd and 7 as Williams picks up 3. 9:32 left to play here in the first quarter. If you're just joining us, 0-0 our score. Again, the Mustangs in that double tight end formation. This time Knight will drop straight back to throw. Under some pressure, looking, and throws the ball incomplete. Thought for a minute they might rule him in the grass.
He did a nice job of just getting rid of that ball, I think, Joe. Obviously, somebody had right a hold of him and was going to take him down. And also not throwing it away. That's a pretty smart play for a sophomore quarterback, that he didn't try to just jam it out there someplace and hope that someone's going to catch it, that he put it in the ground, but not far enough away where they're going to call something like intentional grounding.
Jeff Freese, the big defensive end on the left side for the Vikings, 6'4", 210-pound senior in on him. As Bob Pop checks into the ball game at the wide receiver position for the Mustangs. 3rd and 7, and they give it inside, and a fumble picked up by the Mustangs, however. Jeff Lee in on the stop as looked like Danny Knight pulled the ball out from his big fullback and went to the quick pitch, but ball ended up on the ground.
Boy, he sure did. He may have pitched it just a little bit behind Steve Pewitt. It seemed to hit off his back shoulder pad. That also may put him out of field goal range, Joe, and they may just try to run the ball down there a little bit or do something a little bit fancy.
Well, I think it's definitely 4-down territory as it's 4th and 15 for the Mustangs. And Danny Knight doesn't like what he sees, so he wisely calls timeout. Important to put some points on the board in your first drive of the ball game if you can. The Mustangs appeared to be rolling along, and an incomplete pass and a sack pushed him back.
Boy, it sure did, Joe. it's surprising maybe that they try. I think that what Coach Knight was thinking about was maybe a little trickery. They've been moving the ball right down the field with the basic veer, a couple of moves off of that, and all of a sudden he thought maybe there was something open over there. Obviously, they've got people up in the booths looking at things, and maybe they called something down there, and they didn't quite get the blocking that they expected on that.
Well, we have a chance. We'll give you some of the Niles starting lineup. 36, Brett Karasak, Jeff Lee, Steve Mahar, David Mataford, Norman Moody, Jeff Fries, Pat Mead, and Carl Gathright. The majority of that Viking defense, and they've gotten quite stingy as the Mustangs have gotten inside their 25-yard line. 4th and 15, the ball resting on the Viking 24.5, we'll call it. See what Coach Knight likes to call, and he throws a ball into the corner for Stacy Young, and he's got it, and he's in the end zone. Touchdown, Mike Mustangs.
What a great play, Joe. That's what you'd call a timing play. Stacy Young had just released off the line, was running down there. Little Danny Knight, of course, threw the ball. He's thrown it just to the corner and hoping that Stacy will run under it. If he doesn't, it's much better than a punt. It's much better than anything else. If it's incomplete, you just bring it back. And, boy, what a perfect play.
Beautiful pass. It's all timing. Stacy Young running for the corner, and Danny Knight putting the ball right at the corner of the end zone for him to run under. And Jim Brayton is in to attempt the extra point, but the snap is over the head of our holder, and it will be no good. The Mustangs will lead this ball game 6-0. At the 8:32 mark of the first quarter.
Joe, we were talking a little bit about Niles' defense. They changed up and ran that 53 that they didn't show a whole lot last week against Holland. But again, when you look at two different ball clubs and what Portage Central does with the veer offense, obviously coach from Niles thought that maybe they ought to be into the 53. It gives you a little bit more mobility with the linebackers, and when you have so many options with the veer, you've got to have the linebackers are able to have a little time to read rather than all the people down the front.
The key for the Mustangs on the touchdown was good protection for Danny Knight, a good throw, as John mentioned, in a position where if it wasn't going to be caught by Portage Central, it was going to be an incomplete pass. And Stacy Young, a speedster for the Mustangs, a senior at 6'1", 190 pounds, able to run under it and score the touchdown. Matt Kopp in now to hold on to the football. It'll be his decision to decide whether or not Portage will kick it deep or kick it down along the ground in squib kick fashion, and Bob Pop handles the kickoff chores for the Mustangs. He's also a senior, a little man at 5'8", 156 pounds.
Bobby's a tough little rascal, Joe. He's been around the program for quite a few years and always hung in there, and he just does a good job with whatever Coach Knight assigns him.
And we'll see if the Mustangs like to kick it deep, or as I mentioned, whether they'll kick it along the ground. And they squib it, and we've got a penalty flag, and I'm assuming that'll be offsides against the Mustangs.
Well, it almost looks like, Joe, that somebody lined up offsides because he threw the flag the moment the ball was touched by Bob's foot.
And that's kind of a costly mistake. That's a mental error. And
whoa, they call it against Niles.
That's it.
So maybe they lined up over the ball.
I guess. That's a little bit hard to understand. I'm going to have to wait for the officials from now on. Cannot assume anything in this game.
No, it's kind of fun to guess once in a while anyway.
Well, let's wait and see. Niles is moving back. And indeed, it was against the Vikings. They lined up offsides. In either case, that's a mental mistake, and coaches don't like that. They don't mind so much if you make a physical error, going hard to the ball and being aggressive, but when you make a mental mistake, a legal procedure against the Vikings, the call from our referee, that is not something that they like.
One of the things we might want to watch here, Joe, on the screen, at least the fans at home can, is how open it is right in the middle. If you have a little short kick past the first people, there's a soft area there where it's going to take a while for somebody to pick it up. They've got an awful lot of people, as you look on the screen, in the deep positions. In fact, there's 6 of them. There's more there than any place else.